Hi, boys and girls. All right, so what we're going to do today is while I'm not here, you're going to finish the notes that we started on Friday. So I made a copy of the notes that were probably about like the least one that, you guys had done. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. Oh, there, I could do it like that. All right. So, and what I want to do is I want you guys to finish it. So, for one thing, if you never did get around to highlighting and accenting your columns, you can do that as well, right? So I'm going to go in and color those up a little bit to make sure that the three different types of organisms that you would find in any ecosystem, oh dear, make sure that they're all right here. All right, probably need a new colored pencil. All right, and I did get you guys some new colored pencils, so hopefully you'll be able to use them today or soon. All right, just going to go in and color those up, make sure that my most important words stand out, right? Producer, consumer, and decomposer. All right, now remember that producers are plants. Producers make their own food and they use the sun's energy to do so. Producers never have to go out and cook some dinner. They never have to go to the grocery store. They just need some very basic things. They need water and they need sunlight and they need some nutrients and they need some carbon dioxide from the air that we breathe. And then they can make beautiful food for themselves and then they give off our oxygen for their like waste product. It's amazing that plants do that for us. All right. And then we also talked about several different kinds of decomposers, right? We talked about how decomposers break down waste, like poop and dead plants and animals, to add nutrients to the soil, right? And so, we did that. We found out that mushrooms are fungus or a kind of fungi. We found out that yeast and mold are also fungi and that those break down dead organisms and poop that we get, leave out there like animals and break it down and turn it into like the most tasty, delicious soil that makes the producers just so happy when they grow. Also, we found out about worms, and something that we didn't add to this, so some classes did this and some didn't, was also when you do worms, you might want to add in larva. Like larva is the stage of an insect's life. Insects first they lay eggs, and then after they lay eggs, then the eggs turn into larvae, which is like little tiny worms. You're most familiar with it when you think about caterpillars and butterflies, because butterflies, they lay their eggs and then they have cutie pie caterpillars, but not all insects make cute caterpillars. Instead, some make nasty little maggots. But in any case, larva always is crazy hungry and it eats dead things and poop and just all kinds of things that we really don't want it to eat. We don't want to eat, but it helps us so much because it keeps dead things and nastiness from piling up all around our environment. Now, some of you guys got a little farther than others, so I just left this blank. But what I want to do is I want to put in our four types of consumers, right? And so the first thing I want you guys to do is I want you to know that there are three kinds, and they're all vores. The end of the word ends with vor. So there's a herbivore, and herbs are like little plants, things like oregano and basil and mint and chives, little green sprinkly things that people put on their food to taste so delicious. They're all plants. There's also carnivore. Now, for those of you who speak Spanish or anyone who is like me and you love some tacos, there's carne asada tacos, right? And carne means meat in Spanish. So you can help use that to remind you that carnivores are meat eaters. Also, omnivores. Omni is a root that means all. Yeah, it just means all. So what I want you to do is I want you to like block off and square off and box the vor part, right? And then we'll highlight that. because I want you to remember that vor is a word that means eat. Vor is a root that means eat. And you can be voracious, and that means really, really hungry. So we're going to do the same color for each one of the vor boxes. And if you did it a little different color, if you did red on the other side and blue on the other, it doesn't really matter. I just want to highlight that all of these words show the kind of eater that they are. And in an ecosystem, that's really how we categorize things, is by what they eat and how they get their energy. So then what I want you to do is I want you to box the herb, right? Right? And then I might even do that with a little bit of green because of plants, plants. I'm afraid I'm going to make it all smear, but I'll do it anyway. But it doesn't really matter what color you use, right? Herbivore, right? That's a plant eater. So underneath it, right, plant eater. And remember those delicious, tasty green herbs. All right, a carnivore, carne is meat like in your taco. So box that up. Highlight the carne. I'm just going to use the same color. I probably should use brown. Show meat. All right. And carnivores are meat eaters. And then last but not least is omnivores. So carne means meat. Herba is like little plants. And omni means all. So omnivores, they eat both meat and plants. So eats both. Right, and then let's go back in and highlight that to make sure that that stands out and makes your notes look really nice. And of course, whoever's your teacher right now, you can stop the video so the kids have time to catch up. If anybody forgot their notebooks and have to start all over, we can manage that also. I'll make sure I leave a slideshow that has the beginning of the notes too, so people can catch up on everything. Or else you can just leave this posted up on the board while they catch up. All right. And then the last, well, let's go ahead and just put some plant eaters in because it's important to know which animals are plant eaters. For instance, rabbits are plant eaters. So are deer, horses, cows, sheep. They're all herbivores, plant eaters. Horses, cows, sheep. Most farm animals, except for chickens and pigs. What do you think? Am I missing something? Zebras. All right, those are all herbivores. They only eat plants. All right, carnivores, animals that eat only meat, are things like cats. Now, you might have a cat that eats ice cream or something, but cats are meant to be eating meat. They're predators, they're hunters. Dogs, even if your doggy is used to eating stuff at your house and will eat other things, they're really meat eaters, the carnivores. Of course, things like sharks. Trying to think of some other ones that are meat eaters. Dogs, cats, sharks. A lot of like mammals in the ocean are meat eaters, like dolphins, right? They don't really eat too many plants. Yeah. Now, omnivores, though, they're pretty cool. Of course, humans are omnivores. Just because you're a vegetarian doesn't make you a herbivore. Humans just technically by default eat both, right? Now you can make choices about what you eat, but pigs, like I said before, bears eat both, raccoons, birds. Birds usually eat like both bugs and plants. And those are just a few. There's still many more that you can add, and we can add more to the list later. And the last kind of consumer, because remember I said 4 types, is called a scavenger. Now, scavengers are really easy to get mixed up with decomposers, but they're not the same thing at all. So what we're going to do is just like cloud that in and highlight it. A scavenger is an animal who doesn't hunt, but instead eats the leftovers of other meat eaters. So scavengers in general don't hunt their food and kill their food. They get their energy by eating leftovers. They eat leftovers after other carnivores, because they're carnivores too, right? They only eat meat, but they just don't kill it. After other carnivores, predators, right? So predators will do the killing, right? After are done, and scavengers get in there and they eat the rest of the meat off of the bones. So scavengers are things like buzzards or vultures. Vultures is the right word. If you ever been driving down the street and you saw a bunch of birds gathered around a dead rabbit or a dead possum or a dead raccoon or a dead deer, hyenas. When you watch The Lion King, the hyenas, they don't really kill, they eat the leftover food. Crabs, they like to eat leftover food too. They're definitely scavengers. And there are many others that we can add to the list. But we'll end with our notes now. And if you finish this, then you have all that you need. And you've learned a whole lot of vocabulary. So let's end this now.